It seems that now the streaming is going on. Does it? Okay, very good. So good morning, everybody, for the speakers following us on streaming live. We already started a little bit of the first presentation. I was just explaining a little bit about the LIFE project Rethink Waste, which is about pay as you throw and know as you throw. We are here sitting on the table with many members of the consortium. So the idea behind this project was the fact that European legislation is pushing for pay as you throw as an instrument to promote high recycling, high separate collection. It is written in the new circular economy package as a new instrument, economic instrument for sure. And it's gaining a lot of interest in many member states like France. In France, there is a law targeting 15 million people or 25 million people with pay as you throw. Catalonia is willing to introduce a new law including pay as you throw very soon. In Portugal, there is a new guideline stating that pay as you throw is feasible. And in Italy, we have on average one congress on pay as you throw every week. So that's an example of the many congresses we have and the debate which is behind this concept. Maybe too much of a debate, but that's why we created this project. And why? There is such a debate? For instance, in Italy, we have, this is an abstract from the guideline published by our members. IFEL, I encourage you to download this very masterpiece, 700 pages on pay as you throw. We have 755 municipalities with pay as you throw, 5 million people. These are the common schemes in place in Italy to identify the users, like RFID buckets, RFID bag, prepaid standard bags, or locked container with chamber systems. So in total, I would estimate that 20-30 million people in Italy are identified, to some extent, are somehow identified. But many of them don't have pay as you throw. So I would say 5 million people, according to IFEL, is using pay as you throw. For 20-25 million people, all this data is lost. And municipalities are lost in this huge amount of data, and they are basically doing nothing with it. So we just have the concept of being identified, and for what, we still don't know exactly. The perspective is to introduce pay as you throw, but by now, many municipalities don't have it. Okay? So pay as you throw, these are some slides that I always show when talking about pay as you throw. There are many issues behind. We want a scheme which could be able to address many things. First of all, quality of recyclables. We don't want a scheme that is just a tax to promote the good guys and to penalize the bad guys. For sure, it has to have an incentive effect. It has to be fair, for sure. It's a fair tax, but we want a system in which we don't have worse quality of recyclables. We don't have littering. Possibly we don't have only recycling, we have also prevention. And we don't want a system in which citizens may cheat the system. I will show you why. This is one of the side effects that we may have with pay as you throw and in identification. You know, when you lock a container, citizens will try the easy way to dump your waste around. For sure, the bad guys, I mean, not everyone. Another example of bad quality of recyclables, we have systems in which we lock only residual waste container, but for instance, light packaging is open. And in that case, we have the possibility of having a bad quality of dry recyclables. Another example is the fact of a low incentive effect. If we are in a municipalities already having a high recycling, then the variability between the good guys and the bad guys is limited because everyone is quite good. So this economic incentive effect is quite limited, and we experimented this in other European projects and monitoring. Again, citizens may have a low perception of this fair tax when it's possible to cheat the system. If they say, well, I do it well, but someone else is doing in other ways, or dumping waste in the woods or in the street, I don't feel the system as a good and fair system. Or sometimes if there are no coefficients and the tax is not designed in a proper ways. For instance, taking into account that a family may have 1 member, 2, 3, 4, 5 members, and they shouldn't pay the same amount. We realized that in another project, Horizon 2020, we had the so-called long-term sensitization effect. We realized this in Seveso, and we discovered that in 10, 15 years, separate collection rate was increasing without doing nothing, simply because there was more civic sense, simply because citizens were more sensitized. And then they introduced pay-as-you-throw, and the final increase was of 5 percentage points. So that's why we created the concept of know as you throw some time ago. It has been published in a report of the JRC for the European Commission, which is basically the concept of giving more information that is not just the invoice, which is sent once per year and is just an economic communication tool. What is know as you throw? We can differentiate in 3 examples. The first is pay as you throw, in which citizen is just paying for the amount. The second is a kind of big brother effect, when citizens are feeling monitored to some extent, and they just know that someone is looking at them, not doing anything, but just looking. And the third effect is what we want to test in this LIFE project. Know as you throw, communicating through media, through mobile phone, and not only to the good guys, we want to talk to the bad guys, which is the most difficult challenge. Because the good guys are doing already good, so we don't want them to be more sensitized. Just to mention that this big brother effect have impressive results. This is an example in Cremona in which they just told citizens, we are giving you a standard bag, please use this one. And separate collection went from increased from 72 to 88%, just telling that there is a barcode and we may monitor some of the bags. Okay. So the idea of Rethink Waste, again, is to communicate with bad guys, and that's why we introduced this concept of using WhatsApp. WhatsApp will be used as a main tool in LIFE project because everyone has it, even the bad guys. Everyone has this tool on the phone. They don't have to download a specific app and so on. There will be a platform built in 5 pilots and just to mention briefly, we will use this innovative tool, which is in place since a few months. The use of official WhatsApp Business API is possible just since September, October. So it's very innovative. It's based on the fact that citizens will receive a template message. This is the framework, and it's the official way to use the WhatsApp Business. like this one. Hello, we are the municipality. We want to inform you. Please answer. Do you want information? If they answer okay, then you have 24 hours to tell citizens whatever you want. But the first message should be a template pre-approved by WhatsApp. In doing this, you can write to everyone. You just have to receive their preliminary consent for privacy, GDPR, and so on. But in these 24 hours, you have the possibility to do this kind of session messages in which you can tell them, okay, we know that you are doing good, you know that you are generating 4 bags per month of waste, please, you can do better, you can do, you are the best of your city or something, whatever you want. or even sending pictures like you use WhatsApp for something to explain. Okay, so in this project we will test also rewarding scheme, so giving bonuses and incentives to citizens, giving us the mobile phone number, which is this is the precondition. We have to collect mobile phone numbers, and they will receive more and more bonuses by participating to meetings on separate collection, by becoming themselves a coach to train people, or willing to, in other words, willing to receive information from citizens. In St. Jules d'Asvern, which is a member of the LIFE, we will test this process by giving cards to citizens that will be used to open the containers. And when giving the cards, citizens will be asked, do you want to give us the mobile phone number for communication? They sign the GDPR, and that's the case. In another case, in Varese, we don't have mobile phone numbers, so we will send a letter to citizens asking them, well, if you send an SMS to this number, you will receive immediately €10 bonus or something like that. And from that point on, we can inform them of their performance, of their building, of meeting, and so on. And to finish, I was asked to present the case of Bergamo, which, by the way, is going to start very soon, I think in 3 or 4 months, around summer. Bergamo is a city in the northern part of Italy, 120,000 people with door-to-door collection, quite a high separate collection rate. They are already using a standard bag for residual waste. And the project that was approved by the municipal council was this one. Bags will be delivered through vending machines, through the use of a social security card. And while receiving a roll of bag, the citizen will get information. Okay, you're doing good, you're doing bad, immediately in the vending machine. There will be a display, because the vending machine is connected to the database of the waste bags. And so you can calculate, for instance, an average of the number of bags used by the citizens. You can tell them, for instance, the roll of bag will be limited, just 10 bags of 40 liters. So you have to go to the machine 2 or 3 times per year. And everyone has to go to the machine, even the bad guys, because it's obligatory. So you have to look at the message. Every citizen would look at the message at least for 3 seconds. So what are those messages? This is an example taken from the tender of these vending machines, which is in place. I think it's going to be contracted right now. Good morning, Mr. Smith. We know that you got 3 rolls of bags. The average of families in Bergamo, like yours, is 2.2 rolls of bags. You can do better. Okay, this is an example, or even more positive messages like, are you doing it right? Our statistics show that your district, Longolo, is the best performer of Bergamo, 75 separate collections. Congratulations. So even general, not very, very specific messages, you know, I know that there is a privacy issue and things and that, and blah, 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 but we are going to, I think, we are going to take care of that. You can do many things if allowed, like we have made random controls. This is your bag. This is the picture of your bag last month. You have been doing a good separation, very good. So again, just the feeling of being monitored and controlled. Or, for sure, introducing the daily suggestion of the municipality, or even a promotional message by the municipality or the shop or company hosting the vending machine, which is, talking about marketing, is a good opportunity. So to finalize, the last slide is pay-as-you-throw is a key instrument. It's widely promoted in the European Union, a lot of interest raising. Some obligations are coming into place, but the effectiveness of the scheme and its perception has to be carefully evaluated in order to introduce an effective instrument that is well accepted not only by politicians, because politicians want, okay, pay-as-you-throw is a good instrument, let's do it, but then citizens may see it good, but after some time they may say, well, okay, this pay-as-you-throw in the end is just 10 euros more, 10 euros less, what's that for? So at least try to combine the pay-as-you-throw with some usage of big data for information, which is definitely a good way to promote technology and to make technology acceptable by citizens, not only compulsory. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the next speaker. Okay.
Okay, now let's invite one. Take the floor, deliver the presentation. One is part of the Collectors project. It's a very interesting project. I recommend you to go to the website to check the results of the project. I think it's very interesting because they provide a lot of benchmark about different kinds of collection systems. So it's a very nice project. So I encourage you to go and check the website. Okay.
Thank you, Paolo. Yes, my name is Stran Verleven. I work for P&O Consultants, as said. And together with ACR Plus, with Jean-Benoit upstairs, we've been working on the Collectors project. Today I will talk about two cases, pay-as-you-throw schemes in Berlin and in Tilburg in the Netherlands. But first maybe, a little bit of context about the Collectors project. I'm not sure if you all know the project, but we've been studying good practices in waste collection. We looked at over 250 systems in Europe, and we tried to identify the good practices and do a little bit more studying on these waste collection systems. We did this for various waste streams, one of them being packaging waste. I will talk about that today. And we did various assessments. We did LCAs, we did value chain assessments. We looked at the social acceptance. And what we did at P&O Consultants is we looked at the economic part of how is the waste collection system functioning. So we tried to identify the financial flows, the material flows, what actors are involved. We tried to quantify all the costs and benefits and map the financial incentives and levers. And of course, pay-as-you-throw is an important part of this. So that said, I will discuss the two cases, Berlin and Tilburg now. So about Berlin, I think everybody knows the city, a very large city, 3.5 million inhabitants and over 30 million tourists come there every year. So a lot of waste and very difficult to reach all these people. The waste collection in Berlin is organized by the public authority BSR, which is a state-owned company. And they are responsible for all the waste collection, the sorting, and the treatment. And they do this not alone, they do this together with the Joule systems, which is a special situation, which is happening in Germany. The Joule systems is basically responsible for all the collection, sorting, and treatment of the recyclable waste. So the lightweight packaging, the plastics, the metals, the cans, the beverage cartons. And together with the BSR, they are responsible for this in Berlin. So looking at the performance in Berlin for the waste collection, we see the graph here, and we see that since 2013, they dropped their residual waste significantly, which is due to the new separate collection strategy that has been implemented, where all lightweight packaging and similar waste can be collected in one bin, which is the yellow one or the orange one. So that that resulted in a decrease in residual waste and an increase in separately collected recyclables. So how is the waste collected in Berlin? Basically 4 options. They have door-to-door residual waste collection in black containers. They have door-to-door cardboard collection in blue containers. They have bring banks for glass, and they have this combined container for the lightweight packaging. in addition to various civic amenity sites. So looking at the paid system, it's a combined a fixed fee and a variable fee, and it's interesting in Berlin because the fixed part consists of a few components. First one being a basic fee, a general fee that every unit has to pay. So every house, every apartment has to pay a basic fee of €6.40 in 2018. And in addition to that, citizens pay for emptying their residual waste, and that depends on how big their container is. And then in addition to that, there's another part, depending on how far the waste collection worker has to walk to the apartment to get the bin, there can be an additional fee as well. So for instance, the example on the screen is if a worker has to walk 50 to 100 meters, an additional fee can apply from €30 plus per quarter. And then also the collection of paper is charged. It's €2.40 for emptying a 120-liter container, and the rest of the waste is, or the rest of the packaging waste is for free. So plastic, metal, and drinking cartons, and also glass collection is done for free. So that's Berlin in a nutshell. And then I will also discuss the town of Tubbergen. And I will discuss this especially because we have a lot of data on the Netherlands, a lot of interesting data. And this is a very different case from Berlin, a very small town close to the border of Germany, 21,000 inhabitants, and they do not organize the waste collection themselves, but they work together with the regional waste collection company, ROVA, who does the waste collection for 23 municipalities in that area. And Tubbergen, as a municipality, has implemented the plan to go to 50 kilograms of residual waste in 2030. So that's a very small amount. And to get there, they implemented, amongst other things, a very ambitious paid system. And they implemented this in 2015. And you can see in the graph right here, the blue bars represent residual waste collection. And they dropped from almost 200 kilograms per inhabitant to 70. And I believe in 2018, they even decreased further. And also the separately collected waste increased from almost 50% to almost 80%. So they did very well there. These are the options that the citizens get in Tubbergen to drop off their waste or to dispose of their waste. So they can either bring the residual waste to a bring bank and use a cart to drop their bag there. There's door-to-door collection as well. Paper and cardboard is not organized by the municipality and the waste management company, but it's collected by non-profit organizations who then later on sell the waste to recyclers. Glass is brought to bring banks, and lightweight packaging, similar as in Berlin, is collected in one bin. So looking at the paid system in Tubbergen, there's again a fixed fee and a variable fee. The citizens or a household pays €80 per year fixed, and depending on the size of their residual waste container, they pay a different amount. So €5.60 for emptying a small residual waste container, €9.20 for a 240-liter container. And basically all the other waste streams, all the other packaging waste streams are collected for free. So door-to-door collection of lightweight packaging, PMD, is done for free. And glass collection is also done for free. And as said, paper is collected through non-profit organizations. So a quick overview of both cases. In both cases, glass is collected for free. In Berlin, paper is collected for a small amount. In Tubbergen, it's done for free. And in both cases, again, lightweight packaging such as plastics, metals, and beverage cartons is also done for free. And the residual waste collection has a fixed component and a variable component. And for the economic assessment that we did in collectors, we also looked at, we tried to look at what does a municipality need to pay for the waste collection, what are the costs that they have, and what are the benefits that they are receiving, and what happens when they change from a commingled collection system to a separate collection system. So what you see right here on the screen is that this is for Tubbergen, that the costs change over time because they start to do collection in a different way, and also the revenues change. And when you look at basically the overview of all costs and revenues, you can see we looked at collection costs, we looked at processing costs, at incineration costs, street cleaning, and at the other side we looked at, okay, how much does the municipality get from the citizens, from the waste fee, how much do they get from the packaging industry, what do they get from incineration benefits. And what we noticed for a lot of cases, we did not have data for Berlin, but we did for Tubbergen and some other cases in Italy, in Belgium, and in France. We saw that the collection costs go up because you start to collect separately. You need more trucks, you need more schemes. You want to treat your waste carefully because you want to recycle it. The waste fees goes down because citizens are incentivized to sort their waste and therefore get a discount in the paid scheme. And also the incineration benefits go down because there's less combustible waste. And to cover these increases in cost and decreases in income, we noticed that the EPR fees paid by the producers did go up to a very big amount. And also the recovered materials, or the revenues from recovered materials, did go up. Yes. So in short, we saw some positive things. We saw that the paid scheme and the separate waste collection enabled municipalities to decrease their residual waste and to increase their recyclable waste collection, and also to decrease the waste fee that the citizens have to pay. But this is, it's important to mention that this is largely enabled by very high EPR fees, so fees from the producers, an incineration tax or an increasing incineration tax in some countries, and also ambitious national policy and local policy. So that's, in a nutshell, the two cases, Berlin and Tubbergen. Thank you.
For the presentation, for the time, you were perfect. Really. Okay, now I would like to invite Luca Del Capelletto. We are gonna learn a very interesting thing because it's gonna talk about the blockchain principles applied to the knowledge schemes and the implementation of such a scheme in media and e-commerce.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I'm introducing myself. So I am the CEO of Partitalia. Partitalia is a company that started in this market for the identification of the tags. So we are specialized in the RFID. We have a particular solution for this market, and we are going to separate this division, total market, the total company, because we see that in the next future, it's ready. No. Okay, because we are thinking that it's very, very important, this market for us, and is growing. So we started in the recognize the waste, in, let me say, identification of the waste in 2012. When, let me say, in Italy, starting the first experimentation about it. Now we have installation of our device in 10 countries in Europe, plus some experimentation in Brazil and US.
You're going to have to excuse us. We're having some technical difficulties. Give us one moment. Sorry. How?
Does it work?
Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, cool. Now you can start and you can use the remote.
This one, okay.
Okay. What just a second? What just happened? Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe can change.
Can you try?
Oh, okay, can press. I can press, okay. Forward. So, let me say, I'm going to present the case of Miglianico instead of the major of Miglianico because he's busy for other very important problems that they have to resolve. In any case, I'm doing a very short presentation to explain where Miglianico is and what we are going to do with them in the next future. Maybe it's something that is completely different from your view, the last slide, because we are looking, let me say, for the business part, the business model. So, okay, not the social, but the business. Miglianico history started in 2012, where the, let me say, the separation of the waste is only 52%. Now they arrive at 85. With them, what we give, let me say, the software solution for doing that and the hardware solution. In any case, what you see is that the last year, in 2019, happened that arrived at 84%. That I think is very, very high. And the tax, this is what's happened on the tax to the citizen. That is the most important thing for everyone. Where the cost reduce a lot. But if you see between, if we go back in the last 2 years, from the 81 to 85, the saving is very, very, very small. This is one thing that the major is thinking how to increase the participation, for increasing also in the other part to maybe reach more than this. So one thing that they arrive to these results, why? Because there is a very cooperative waste collection company. Information communication that start in 2012 and work especially in the school. The citizen understanding the saving. There is, let me say, a collecting service that is after, if one people don't forget to put outside of the house the bin can go to the, let me say, to the municipality collecting center. The tariff and, let me say, all the last part is the waste RFID, and the last one is the blockchain. Why we are using the blockchain? Is experimentation. Why? Because they want to be extremely sure that that is the right picking. And they put all the information in the blockchain. So in this case, what we can have, the certification of the collecting data. That is let me say, a stupid thing, but the citizen understanding this part. And I don't have, sorry, the last data because they are going to elaborate in these days, so I can send to you. But let me say, the part of the city, the citizen that are the bad citizen, starting to thinking to use a better way. The other slide, this slide is separated for explaining how this works. There is an hardware, a very easy hardware, a software and a cloud platform, and everything is ready to send all the information for the pay-as-you-throw software at the end. So, okay, I don't want to explain, but we are working with a device that is a portable device, especially it's a wearable, because it's very small city, with, let me say, free collectors. And so this is the easiest way. Also for, instead also to starting and so on. We have a business intelligence about that. And what the experimentation start with the blockchain, thinking to put a new technology on the market, but also to start to rethinking what we can do with the blockchain. One thing is this. So we discovered in the last month a startup company that produce a bin, a particular bin, IoT bin. What I mean with IoT, with sensors. When you put inside of this bin, you can see immediately on your mobile phone, on the cloud platform, that the, let me say, the capsule of Nespresso is in the bin. The capsule of Nespresso, the weight is 2 grams, the aluminium, and 11 grams of coffee inside. So let me say, this is one testing where we have, let me say, starting to take all the information, put in blockchain, plus our part that is, let me say, the logistic part, and try to give back money to the citizen. Very, very small money. So now the problem is that everything is working for the IoT platform. The problem is how to give back the money to the citizen. Because you need the payment institution for the PS2 rules. Let me say, this is, we start with just 50 bins to, let me say, certificated citizen or family that has, let me say, the machine of Nespresso on it. And we have discussed also with Nespresso, and we started to discuss with Nespresso because it's a test. And we are thinking to give back to the citizen 1 cent for each capsule. I don't know what's happened, but is something of completely different to the sensibilization of the population in our side. When we started to talk about that, we are thinking that IoT device inside of the house should be a way. The only problem is the cost. Is the cost of the data, is the cost that a bin cannot cost 4 euros. But something like that costs 20 euros. So this is something that we have to take care about this experimentation. But we can tell you something in, I think, in September. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Maybe we can have, if you have a particular questions, we can allocate some minutes after the presentation for the lunch. So I encourage you to write down the questions. Okay, now we will display an interview that we did to the councillor of the municipality of Parma. Would like to thank Davide and Alessandro that helped us to make a contact and to organize the interview. So, unfortunately, he's in Italian, so we provide some subtitles. I hope that it's clear. But if you have a particular question, we can answer you after the presentation. Okay?
Sono Tiziana Benassi, assessore alle politiche di sostenibilità ambientale del Comune di Parma. La mia nomina è sindaco di Tarotti mi ha dato dall'inizio del secondo mandato, in particolare questa amministrazione è al governo della città 13, prima di me c'era Gabriele Polli, una persona davvero con una sensibilità ambientale di rilievo, fin da subito ha cominciato a lavorare su ambientali, e in particolar modo sui temi che riguardano di raccolte e gestione dei rifiuti. Io ovviamente ho dato continuità dal 2017 a questo percorso che comunque già dopo qualche anno aveva dato dei risultati, e sia a livello diciamo di raccolta differenziata, di valorizzazione della frazione del rifiuto differenziato, sia a livello di raccolta indifferenziata che è stata rifiutata. Parma è una città di terza Romagna, quindi è una città diciamo media, quadrati, però di grande valore, particolare, e un'area urbana che gira 29 km². Il resto sono persone che non fanno la differenza economica, non si fanno determinate scelte che guardano tutto questo sistema di raccolta differenziato che ha fatto insieme agli altri comuni della società è cominciato a questo aspetto l'ho sottolineato perché è molto importante quando si parla di fare squadra, perché fare squadra è fondamentale anche per evitare che molte altre città sono comunque accaduti. Noi abbiamo lavorato insieme per la provincia, abbiamo lavorato insieme anche insieme a tutto il resto della regione, anche grazie a un risultato che ha e consigliava la famiglia, devo dire, consigliava la famiglia delle determinate e quindi il sistema di raccolta rifiuti a porta e abbiamo cominciato nel 2015, ma in una situazione in cui c'era la raccolta differenziata pari sostanzialmente con la raccolta del e il servizio non era porta a porta, ma era si effettuava una raccolta attraverso i classici. E nel 2018 Parma ha raggiunto il 2,2% di raccolta differenziata e ha riconosciuto il differenziato del 75%. Il nostro sistema in particolare è partito da una sperimentazione, partito dal centro storico, e poi pian piano negli anni 12 negli anni 30 fino ad arrivare nel 2015 ad avere un sistema di raccolta porta a porta in 3 città. Quindi il primo punto è stato quello di portare il sistema di raccolta porta a porta e togliere i casini. Noi ad oggi abbiamo tutto il resto è porta a porta. Nel 2015, dopo questa fase, diciamo, di quartiere di Osa, che ormai abbiamo quindi in realtà il grande lavoro per cittadinanza è stato fatto proprio in questi anni, quando il sistema di quartieri ha cominciato a spiegare in maniera che era quello sì che raccogliere le cose, ma era soprattutto un sistema che serviva in procura a cui una tariffazione puntuale, ovvero una tariffazione che consente di premiare i cittadini proprio. La tariffazione puntuale ci fa di introdurre il codice identificativo del cittadino del cittadino in modo tale che vengano portate ovviamente dell'aggressivo e in particolare la tariffa viene calcolata proprio sulla base del cittadino che il cittadino farà nel corso dell'anno. Ovviamente meno votature il cittadino farà, meno pagherà anche il carico questo sistema che vediamo che a Parma ha fatto in modo di avere diciamo benefici ambientali, ma anche no, perché la Tari è la parte romana non è mai utilizzata costante di servizi finanziari al livello molto alti. Quindi questo è anche un segnale importante da sottolineare, perché comunque questo tipo di impianto non ha portato della tariffa dei cittadini. gestioni dei personali, ma anche da un punto di vista funzionale, che la regione ci ha assicurato perché eravamo predisposti sui servizi della regione. Per cui sostanzialmente abbiamo viaggiato i risorsi della raccolta, affiancare diciamo, sistemi informativi ai cittadini, abbiamo subito implementato delle app insieme a quelli di raccolta delle app che non solo informavano, aiutavano diciamo, il cittadino del mondo dei rifiuti, anche davano delle informazioni prese per voci attraverso ricette alimentari, ma delle app anche che ti consentono ora di calcolare la tariffa anche quante volte passa il servizio della strada, cioè è una vista con informazioni legate alla scheda della tua tariffa e anche i consigli alla della raccolta del tuo notte. Per implementare ulteriormente, per cercare di avere informazioni virtuose, abbiamo attuato una serie di iniziative. Una tra queste è quella di spingere il servizio, diciamo che è una cosa di gratuiti, fino a delle famiglie, dei problemi alimentari, e oltre a un servizio dei card con dei punteggi possono arrivare a la tariffa del 10% per chi utilizza i sistemi di raccolta, per esempio, oppure per chi utilizza l'ecostation o le mini-ecostation che abbiamo incluso successivamente all'interno della domanda. Queste ecostation e mini-ecostation, vedete, con questo, si dà la possibilità di alleggerire quella che è una necessità di sistema e allungare il funzione del braccio e precisi di raccolta. Con queste mini-ecostation che noi abbiamo realizzato all'interno della romana, funzionano presso 4 sempre di una possibilità a coloro per qualche motivo riescono a erogare a mettere le risorse orari stabiliti che consentono di essere comunque poter conferire comunque il 4%. Questo è un elemento che è stato molto richiesto dalla cittadinanza perché comunque c'è il lavoro, gli andamenti interni e avere la possibilità di conferire in modo comodo il sistema rischio ha dato davvero dei cambi da parte dei cittadini. Ovviamente con il tema anche del controllo, perché la valore dei rifiuti oggettivamente rimane oggi un problema, soprattutto una serie di motivi che sono a sistema produttivo per vari motivi. Noi abbiamo cercato di suggerire questa cosa attraverso altre modi, attraverso delle situazioni anche ecologiche che aiutano a nelle attività e poi anche attraverso i comitati di quartiere, in particolare è possibile fare la situazione perché sono le aree di un servizio ma anche cercare di essere quello problema vale per tutto, ma in particolare per lo sviluppo. Sono Cristiana Benazzi, assessore
If you agree, we can have a break, coffee break 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, come back in 10 minutes. Okay?
Having a 10-minute break, and we will be back.
If you want, we can
With the sound is very good in the stream. Yeah, on your phone. I don't know if only during the video. Yes, I think. It was a presentation. You come here, I need to thank you. Because it was, yeah, the presentation the video. Yeah, because that was the case for everybody. And because I think, yeah.
Tu dentro il prodotto, no? Prodotto, non bisogna vedere cosa fare. Tu fai questo ragionamento, tutto quello che fai in casa devi uscire. Tu hai già tutto il database, la qualche parte devi uscire. No, guarda, io devo 100 poi da dove buttare no ma in Zig è Roma. Quindi c'è esposto perché c'è quando questo dopo si deve uscire devo uscire perché mi spiego che uscire io posso dire io sono sempre di più questo mi piace questo mondo ma perché si permette tanto lavoro da fare non si può mai purtroppo per il mio lavoro quando la vendi si fa così questa è una situazione che ti va cosa fare perché il sindaco l'ho vista lei no? Ma io Hai capito perché lo c'è? Perché ci siamo trovati. Queste cose qua non puoi parlare con la mano.
Is it on? Sì, no.
Awareness.
Volume, yeah. Okay.
You guys are using enough. I don't know. I don't know. From your coming from this market.
Actually, people were watching us and I just wanted
Brazil. It's not really. Nice. I don't know how it is the picture of So you understand.
No. All the media was using it a little bit experimental. And also shooting videos online and then, important languages.
This is a big job.
No, it's not.
The next time I'm thinking also for use because I need to use the one second.
And this is what
And now I like seeing
we're also recording on both devices. It will be it's just the thing is that it's not the thing is that we get
I have a stupid naive question.
There's no stupid
We
question.
have all those amazing examples of great things happening all over Europe. Is something happening in Brussels, or are we still going to see the trash all over the place forever like this?
Question. There's somebody who works with Brussels environment. Maybe you can ask her. I think we actually tried to get somebody from Brussels environment to come and talk about the discussions related to pay as you grow here. And yeah, I think you may want to ask her. Is your name Alexandra? I'm sorry. Is your name Alexandra? I'm sorry. And this year's field, and I think this question waste in Brussels. Just to see. I think you can answer I know that they are I'm gonna leave.
Maybe we can.
We bring Dennis. Yeah, can you ask if she has
Right now?
Then we and then thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So what's not more than that?
I'm sorry.
Hi everybody, can you please take your seats? Okay, so for everybody who's watching us remotely, we're starting the presentations again. And the first presentation is going to be delivered by Miguel Varela, northern Spain, in Asturias. So he's going to connect as well over video. So without further ado, let's start.
Good morning, I'm Varela. I'm CEO and founder of Famous. We are a private company working in the waste management sector, but we develop information and communication technology products as Verde. My idea of this presentation is showing you the way we can encourage the citizen aware through giving them rewards in exchange of good actions, good environmental actions, like going with some kinds of residues and waste, the green points, and some places in the city. We are going to talk about Verde rewarding and recycling platform. Verde started in 2015 in Santiago de Compostela. Santiago de Compostela is small town with 100,000 inhabitants in the northwest of Spain. Santiago de Compostela is well known as the center of one of the most important pilgrimage ways, that's called the Camino de Santiago. We started in this town 5 years ago. The first version of the Copa Verde project. The main idea of the Copa Verde project is we have the idea that when we were talking about with the citizens, we saw that most of them didn't have any intention about the recycling or maybe collecting the waste in their house because they don't think they were a reward. The main thing is, for example, if you have a mobile phone, a lot of people put on the green thing that is not okay, and you should go with your old mobile phone today to the green point of the government. So the main idea of Verde is to develop a platform available on the internet to promote recycling and environmental responsibility, rewarding good environmental practices. Verde was as follows. Citizens they have some waste in their house, for example, use to ignore it, electronic devices, mobile phones, chargers, etc., batteries, etc. If the citizen here in Santiago about with that kind of waste to some points that are member of the Verde, they are going in the terms of your waste, you are going to receive as a citizen a voucher with a number, with a code. With that code, you go to the website, you put a code, and you earn some points. And you can change that points in local sponsors or local activities of the council with rewards, discounts, etc. So it's not a pay-as-you-throw system, but it's like a know-as-you-throw or reward-as-you-throw system. Combining a gaming platform with a specific campaign that covers the citizen and we try to encourage the citizen to reuse and recycling and help to improve their behavior. The main idea is to increase the separation of waste, reduce waste per capita, and reduce recovery rate, which is most likely putting the average household in skill. We the website. Then the main study focus of the platform, we have some points that you can go with your waste as a citizen. We have sponsors, restaurants, retailers from the local area that are members of Tropa Verde. So you can have a reward or a discount or a price if you have enough points in Tropa Verde. And of course, the citizens. That's the main point of the initiative. We try to promote good attitudes talking about environment in cities. They have very good participation from the girls and boys of these schools. We have one campaign for recollecting used cooking oil, another for electric devices, another in Christmas with Red Cross. We made a campaign for collecting old toys for any other boys. It was to stimulate the competition in a good way. You know, the main thing is not to be the best, but also to use your effort and work with your classroom for achieving these goals. Eventually, we also give some campaigns on the street, in some fairs, in some places in the council. Other activities, recycling and reusing workshops. We also develop a workshop about reusing all personal computers. Again, here we have some photos of people recycling or returning or getting some rewards, etc. We have a lot of exposition of the initiative and the media. We went to the TV, local and national newspapers, etc. One of the most important characteristics of Tropa Verde is that it's a good product that is very easy to transfer to any other location, city, council, or even a big company. Many different councils here in Galicia, but also using the European program URBAT, we have developed a transfer network of Tropa Verde from Santiago de Compostela to Vivares in Portugal, Palmera in Greece, Miskolc in France, Budapest in Hungary, and Pole agglomeration in Poland. So during 2019-2020, the job already is going to work in these 5 places, 6 places, with 6 different languages, etc. So it's very easy to transform, it's very easy to transfer this activity to any other place. As a result of the program, we have high citizen participation. We are talking about Job Verde in Santiago de Compostela, that is the main Job Verde. We have a high participation between the citizens. We have more or less 4,000 inhabitants of Santiago de Compostela that are members of Job Verde. It's more or less 4% of the population of the city. For this year, we have bring them more than 5,000 rewards. With a value of 30,000 euros, prizes, rewards, discounts, etc. We have a network of 150 other sponsors. The number of visits to the green point of the council have been increased 12% since the development of Job Verde. And we also have a network of 37 places where you can go, not only the green point, but places, for example, like neighborhood centers, etc., where you can go and go with your own waste. And we have developed several workshops for children as we have seen before. So the benefits are very good. So we are making an impact on the citizen behavior. We active support of environmental education, mostly talking about restaurants. The promotion of the image in the city. This is a very important city to the city because it's one of the central green image in Europe and the world. And the city image is promoted as a green city, environmental city, etc. Reduce the cost of waste management because some waste are delivered in the green point, and these waste mainly, if we don't have Job Verde, they are going to be delivered in the containers in the street. That's not good. And we also are promoting the local commerce. So thank you. I hope this presentation is going to be helpful for you, and we are at your disposal if you have any question about that. Thank you.
Before we continue to the next presentation, just a brief note to everybody in the room and remotely, we have live chat going on our live streaming, and Marta Moran from Temas, who is Miguel's colleague, is on live chat. So if you have any questions about Job Verde, feel free to ask them now or later, and we can type them in the live chat and she can answer them.
I do.
Okay.
I didn't quite understand how, who is paying these local commercials for these discounts?
Marta, did you hear us? We have a question from the room. Milena Matos from Lusada did not understand who is paying for the scheme.
Is it the municipality or the company? Or?
Is it the municipality or the companies? Okay. While Marta responds, I suggest we move on to the next presentation so that we don't keep the entire room waiting. And I'll check the live chat later and let you know.
So the next presentation is about the case in Lozada.
Thank you. Well, I was curious about the previous presentation because we have also a rewarding system going on in Lozada, Portugal. The name of our project is Lixo Sustentável, which translates as sustainable waste. So Lozada is located in the Porto district. You should know Porto, but I'm sure you never heard of Lozada before. It's a small municipality in the interior Portugal. Probably you could have heard about us because we won an important award this year, the Transformative Action Award in Europe. So this is the general picture of the landscape in Lozada. It's a very, very damaged landscape. You see lots of greens, but actually it's not a functional green ecosystem because we have monocultural stands of eucalyptus plantations and then housing systems and intensive farming systems that produces a quite famous wine in Portugal. So we have a very, very altered, deeply transformed landscape, and promoting landscape conservation, nature conservation, biodiversity enhancement, and sustainability action in a landscape that is heavily transformed like this is quite a challenge, but we are somehow managing to do it. Well, our municipality's sustainability agenda is based on the 17 Millennium Sustainable Development Goals, and we are directly targeting 14 of these goals. Well, the ones we are not targeting are focusing on poverty and hunger, and luckily we don't have these severe issues there, but indirectly, of course, we target also social action. Well, I'm providing this context because it is important for you to understand the behavioral change we are experiencing in Lozada. So our strategy that was built in 2015 is anchored in 5 main axes, like environmental education and scientific literacy, research and nature conservation, social engagement, and then about resource efficiency. We are focusing on infrastructural actions and also what we try to be a reference for an internal sustainability of what a municipality should do. So, as I told you, we were shortlisted for the Transformative Action Award in 2019 against Berlin and Leuven here in Belgium, and luckily we won. And this put Lozada in the Portuguese map of environmental action. And this is quite rewarding because no one knows where Lozada is, and now we are almost every day in the news because of many, many different issues, from waste to water to environmental education in schools with elderly citizens, in our municipal technicians. Well, we have news every day, and this is good because we are raising awareness in a level that was never expected there in Lozada. Well, about waste management, I'm showing this picture that displays what we call in Portugal an eco point. That is a place where you dispose the 3 main waste types of recyclable waste, like paper and cardboard, packaging, and glass. And this black one is general waste that is not sorted out. But the waste flow in Lozada is quite depressive. If people don't sort waste, what happens is that people put their garbage in the general waste container that is collected in the streets, not quite door to door, but in the streets you have one container for, I don't know, 20 households or something like that. And if people don't sort the waste, it goes directly to a landfill. It is not exploited somehow for energy or incineration, whatever. It's just deposited in a huge landfill and this is not sustainable at all. And this landfill is serving 3 municipalities, so it gets full very quickly. On the other hand, if people sort waste, of course, we sell the materials for transformation, and we get a valuable money from that. And just the indifferentiated waste goes to the landfill. A few years ago, like 2 years ago, we were recycling at the rate of 8%. I know I heard someone saying 50% was a low rate, and it is, but we are talking about 8%. In Portugal, it is important to understand that we have no tradition in environmental awareness. This is a modern thing. And for instance, rural communities still interpret this as a vogue thing from tree huggers or something like that. So what is really needed is a deep social transformation. This is why I gave you context of this huge transformative strategy that we are implementing in Lausanne. So regarding waste management, before this project, our main issues were the high occupation rates of the landfill, of course, the huge amounts of waste that are produced, that increased after we went out of the economical crisis. With more money, people buy more stuff and become less aware of the things they buy and the packagings and all that. Another challenge, of course, the low waste recycling rates. We were not attaining the national policy targets about recycling, and we have some trial experiments in Portugal with rewarding systems or pay-as-you-throw systems, but they are really, really difficult to implement because of this lack of environmental awareness and tradition in our country. And we have an eco-center that is a place, an infrastructure where people can go and deliver directly their difficult to recycle or to dispose waste, like the results of trimming of trees, like green waste, agricultural waste, and they can go there directly and deliver this waste to be properly discarded. And then we launched this initiative that was planned by our engineer that is responsible for the waste management system in Lausanne. So the general idea was to encourage people to enhance their recycling, their sorting rates, paying them for that directly. So in this eco center, we have an employee that receives and weighs each type of weight. In these pictures, they are cardboard and paper, but the same applies to glass, metal, plastics, etc. The waste is weighed, and an information sheet is filled in with the citizen number of this person. After weighing, it is sorted in big containers that are specific for a certain type of waste, and then it is patched and sold. Well, these are the other types of waste that are more difficult to discard, but we can provide in this system an adequate treatment for each type of waste. And then in a big facility, it is separated, packed, and shipped out. These are pictures of our landfill, and it is located up the hill, so the contaminated waters are also, well, it takes a lot of money to treat them and not to pollute downhill, etc. And we really want to stop filling the landfill so much. Well, how does this project works? You saw the pictures. People go to the eco center and weight the waste, and for each kilogram a certain fee applies, and these people don't receive directly the money, but they received it in a discount in their water bill. And of course, why water bill? Because in Portugal, as a sewage treatment is paid with water bill, the waste treatment is also associated to the water bill. So the more water you consume, the more you pay for waste treatment. It has nothing to do, because you can consume lots of water and produce zero waste, but it is associated to the water bill. So far, it is the system we have. So by delivering this, let's imagine a household delivers waste that costs like 10 euro, they received it in a discount in their water bill. You see that red cross there? It's the part for the waste treatment discount. So in Losada, the average bill, the part of the bill that is associated to waste, is about of 8 to 10 euro per household. And if that waste that was delivered is higher than this, it goes far further in time. So they accumulate the discounts. And now we have families that are not paying this fee like for 2 or 3 years because they delivered so much recyclable waste. So the main results are very encouraging. In January, we had about 1,600 households participating in this project. Still, we have a long way to go, of course, but as a comparison, before the project, Eco Center received about 16 tons of waste, and altogether since 2017, we already gathered almost 800 tons of waste. It's a huge increment of the activity of the Eco Center, and all this waste is not going to landfill anymore, and the numbers are rapidly increasing. So these are the official statistics for our waste treatment region, but I simplified it like this. Our national target policy for recyclable waste is 32 kilograms per inhabitant per year. And before the project, we were situated about 18 to 19 kilos. And now after the project, we finally surpassed this threshold, and we are currently in about 38 kilograms per inhabitant. This is really encouraging. Of course, this went viral, and it was all over the news. And after it went on, it was displayed on national television, informative pieces. Many municipalities in Portugal asked for a meeting with us to understand how we were delivering this, because it's not that easy to pay people an extra fee that is not in the administrative systems. So we just removed the fee that was already associated to the waste management bills. Okay, so also, this is important that it didn't come alone. It was not an isolated project. It came with a huge commitment of this municipality towards a green or greener strategy. And we have municipal themes for each year. 2017, when this program was launched, was the Environmental and Biodiversity Municipal Year in Losada, and 2020 is currently the Climate Action Year. So we are working integratively in a greener strategy for this municipality, and luckily we are having the results. Thank you.
I have a question. Sure. I'd like to know if at the present time there is a debate or legislative proposal to split the tax water from waste.
No.
No, there isn't.
Well, we have trial experiments and programs and projects that each municipality is independently trying to apply, but for now there's no discussion about that.
There is no national framework. So however, every municipality does the same.
Everywhere it is, we say, indexed in Portugal to the water bill, and it's really strange because it's totally apart. Like the electricity bill is completely apart, so it's not quite fair actually that the waste management is associated to the water bill. But currently there's still no discussion. However, in Losada, we are now part of an Interact project for influencing waste management policy across Europe and, of course, in northern Portugal. And if we can do things right, maybe we can bring this discussion. But it takes a huge alteration of all the established systems.
But I mean, it needs a national choice.
Yes.
Not
But if we can prove that this works and it's really not fair to have this combination of bills, maybe it will go forward. Oh, I forgot to say something. This project, this sustainable waste, is actually sustainable. It's auto-sufficient. I mean, the amount of money we save by transporting the waste, the recyclable waste, from the eco points to the treatment facility, and the amount we save in the occupation rate of the landfill. Well, the savings are higher than what we are paying to people in waste. So we actually are making profit out of this. So in the future, we can think about paying more to people for each kilo of waste, because it is actually very self-fundable. So this is a very important statistic.
No? The tax. The same in Spain.
With the water bill, but separate. So we have the information.
Okay, but a unique obligation, I mean. You have two taxes or one taxes divided into
Taxes.
Okay.
With evidence.
Yeah.
You have evidence of the municipal waste tax and evidence of the water bill tax.
You see here in this picture, I brought a picture of a bill, and it's separated in water consumption, sewage treatment, waste treatment, and other taxes. So in what we are targeting, this project is on this separate part of the waste treatment. But the amount that people are paying for this waste treatment is associated to the number of cubic meters they consume of water. It doesn't make any sense, but it was a way back in the 80s to put this fee in place.
Anyway, as far as I know, your national authority ASAP published a guideline on pay-as-you-throw recently, so things are moving on a little bit, because that guideline, for the first time in Portugal, they say that pay-as-you-throw can be implemented, for sure separating the tax and with some energy. But yeah, I know that very few municipalities are.
Very few, and the ones we know the best, our neighboring municipalities. Well, when I say neighboring, is 100 kilometers away. It's not working. So we tried this new approach. For instance, the colleagues from Santiago are giving people discounts in local stores. We are giving directly a discount in a fee that is applied by the municipality. And what happened was that people started collecting waste even from the streets and from their neighbors to deliver them to the eco center so that they can receive discounts. And some people are not paying this fee for 2 or 3 years now because they accumulated so much waste in their individual, well, sheet. Okay, thank you.
Actually, don't move because we received an answer to your question in the chat. So Marta replied that they must collaborate with the city council as an independent company and with a waste management company. And the way they fund it is that right now they have 5 Verde in Galicia and through Organised, the project that subsidizes the scheme.
Was that a question or a comment?
No, that's an answer to your earlier question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
How Verde
All right.
pays for the scheme. How Verde is financed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we are going to display another interview.
Tutti sono Luigi Cuomo.
The case of Sorrento, an Italian municipality. Again, I would like to thank you, Alessandro and Davide, for providing the content, and I think it's an interesting for you as well. Enjoy.
Tutti sono Luigi Cuomo, sono il direttore della società Penisola Verde, che è la società pubblica di proprietà dei comuni che gestisce servizi di raccolta rifiuti e raccolta differenziale, in particolare nei comuni di Sorrento e Piano Sorrento, due cittadini della penisola sorrentina e della regione Campania. Che abbiamo messo in campo per incentivare la raccolta differenziata domestica, svolgiamo un'iniziativa dal titolo L'isola ecologica del tesoro, tesoro delle eccellenze campane. Fin da qui, svolgendosi la raccolta differenziata in maniera domiciliare, cosiddetta porta a porta, i dati di raccolta differenziata hanno raggiunto di risultati tra il 60 e il 65%. Quindi, essendo ancora possibile attivare iniziative di tipo di tariffazione puntuale, che sono quelle che più incentivano i cittadini a adoperarsi maggiormente per la raccolta differenziata, abbiamo pensato a un'iniziativa che premiasse quei cittadini maggiormente diffusi. E l'abbiamo fatto incentivando soprattutto le attività del ciclo di raccolta comunale. Ne abbiamo uno per comune, quindi i cittadini nel 2015 vengono a conferire i propri rifiuti differenziati nel centro di raccolta, possono acquisire dei punti un po' come avviene nei supermercati e a fine anno, in base ai punteggi ottenuti, si ottengono dei buoni spesa. I dati che abbiamo raggiunto sono diciamo, mediamente buoni per 8.000 euro in totale tra i due comuni. A queste iniziative di tanto in tanto, 4-5 volte all'anno, ci sono delle settimane, dei periodi diciamo, maggiormente diciamo, incentivanti che diciamo, puntano a dare maggiore enfasi all'iniziativa. Di cui mi piace ricordare che nella prima iniziativa che abbiamo fatto già a partire dal 2015, a tutti i cittadini che portano olio esausto vegetale, per ogni 10 litri portati abbiamo un litro prodotto dai piccoli agricoltori della penisola sorrentina. Questo diciamo per far sì che anche i piccoli agricoltori che hanno difficoltà nella produzione dell'olio per spese, per diciamo, particolarità del territorio della penisola sorrentina, possono avere la certezza di vendere almeno 2.500 litri di olio che noi acquistiamo annualmente. Diciamo, è un modo per andare diciamo, empirico, diciamo, semplice di economia circolare. I dati annuali sono 95 tonnellate di materiali riciclabili che partecipano a questa iniziativa, quindi sono registrati all'interno dell'iniziativa da parte di circa 2.000 famiglie che mediamente ogni anno aderiscono a questa iniziativa, che è un dato rispetto alle circa 8.000 famiglie presenti nei due comuni non piccolo se si pensa che comunque una raccolta di tipo porta a porta, quindi il cittadino già riceve un servizio domiciliare a fronte del fatto che invece deve recarsi al centro di raccolta. Raccogliamo oltre 22.000 litri di olio esatto per l'iniziativa dell'olio e circa 8.000 rifiuti elettrici elettronici, chiaramente si va dai piccoli, quindi che può essere dal telefonino, piuttosto che dal carica batteria, piuttosto che dal mouse, oppure fino a frigoriferi elettrodomestici di più grandi dimensioni. Sono iniziative che anche diciamo, abbiamo proposto dal primo anno e quindi valorizzano altri prodotti della campagna. Ci teniamo a mettere in relazione le eccellenze con quello che è stato invece un punto dolente della regione Campania, la questione dei rifiuti. Eccellenze come le fragole che distribuiamo nelle iniziative, basta pensare che questa cooperativa che fornisce le fragole è la più grande cooperativa di produzione di fragole in Italia, è la cooperativa e si trova proprio nella terra di Dio. Basti dire in totale, questa cooperativa produce 80.000 quintali di fragole all'anno, il secondo produttore in Italia che fa giusto la metà. Una grande eccellenza che si trova invece in una terra spesso additata come una zona dolente dell'intera nazione. A fine anno premiamo anche i cittadini che maggiormente sono stati virtuosi, e questa è l'immagine del premio con la bicicletta ciclata, che è fatto con 800 lattine di alluminio riciclate, e ha premiato il cittadino che più volte si è legato al centro di raccolta nel corso del 2016. Altre iniziative legate che sono sorte nel corso degli anni per dare maggiore importanza all'iniziativa sono le visite alle aziende che forniscono l'olio, sempre per dare al cittadino una maggiore consapevolezza di quello che viene a fare l'isola dell'olio. Quindi da un lato vede direttamente con i propri occhi qual è il sistema di raccolta che parte dal centro di raccolta e quindi che effettivamente viene fatta la raccolta differenziata, effettivamente sul materiale che venga avviato di ciclo, e dall'altro i prodotti che viaggiano, per esempio l'olio, i cittadini vengono condotti con delle passeggiate all'interno di aziende che producono questi prodotti che distribuiamo, sempre per dare maggiore consapevolezza al cittadino di quello che avviene all'interno di una realtà virtuosa come può essere quello del ciclo dei rifiuti. Questo è l'assaggio dell'olio, diamo anche piccole esami di degustazione dell'olio. L'olio che viene fatto da piccoli agricoltori rispetto a all'olio commerciale che noi siamo abituati a mangiare senza capire che poco ha a che fare con l'olio fatto con l'olio. Altra cosa che ci siamo resi conto nel corso dello svolgimento di questa manifestazione è che i cittadini che maggiormente usufruivano dell'isola dell'olio chiaramente quelli che più si trovavano vicini logisticamente al centro di raccolta. Quindi a partire dal 2018 abbiamo ampliato l'iniziativa cosiddetta l'isola dell'olio del tesoro direttamente nella popolazione. Quindi periodicamente ci rechiamo delle isole ecologiche mobili nelle frazioni che sono più lontane dal centro della città per dare la possibilità anche ai cittadini di queste frazioni di partecipare all'iniziativa. Devo dire che questa è un'iniziativa di grande successo, no? Perché il cittadino spesso che si trova più lontano dal centro si sente, tra virgolette, un po' abbandonato, quindi quando uno va con un'iniziativa direttamente nel proprio centro abitato, trova veramente un ambiente propenso a collaborare proprio più di quelli che abitano nel centro della città. I risultati che nel corso degli anni stiamo ottenendo ci confortano. A partire dall'inizio della raccolta differenziata porta a porta, la raccolta differenziata è stata a dati tra il 60 e il 65%. Ora negli ultimi anni danno ancora maggiore importanza a questi tipi di iniziative premiati. Nel 2019 abbiamo raggiunto il 70% di raccolta differenziata. C'è da dire che dando incentivi ai cittadini prima che le punizioni si riesce maggiormente a ottenere risultati. Da 2 anni abbiamo ridotto il numero di raccolte di rifiuti differenziati. È chiaro che il cittadino non può lamentarsi di questo fatto, visto che ci sono all'area tutta una serie di iniziative che premiano chi fa raccolte differenziate, che premiano chi va al centro di raccolta. Prima dare i servizi al cittadino e poi tra virgolette introdurre delle condizioni, delle sanzioni per chi non collabora. Quindi i risultati dell'ultimo anno abbiamo sfiorato le 11.000 tonnellate di raccolta differenziata anche solo con un isoletto, che è un dato di notevolissime quantità. È chiaro che la raccolta, soprattutto nel isoletto, è legata soprattutto ai flussi turistici. Basti pensare che sia nel 2018 che nel 2019 il Comune ha superato i 3 milioni di presenze turistiche nel corso dell'anno, attestandosi ad essere la 6ª città italiana delle presenze turistiche. A maggio facciamo altre iniziative legate al birrificio. Abbiamo un piccolo birrificio artigianale, visto che stiamo a Bruxelles, mi interesserà anche questo, che oltre a utilizzare prodotti del territorio, quindi fa la birra con limone, all'arancia,
conosce, utilizza come imballaggio un cartone che è prodotto dal consorzio 100% Campania, che vuol dire che tutto l'imballaggio che produce questo marchio è fatto al 100% con carta riciclata proveniente dai comuni della regione Campania che fanno raccolti differenziati. Quindi promuoviamo a maggio questo tipo di prodotto per due motivi: uno perché è fatto sul territorio e due perché utilizza tutti imballaggi riciclati campani. Però tutti sono Luigi Cuomo, sono il direttore della società Penisola Verde e la società
the video is actually over. This is just it goes in a loop. Okay, Luigi's unfortunately not available to answer questions, so we're gonna have to go straight to the next. At least not for now, but if you have questions about his presentation, I'm sure Davide can make them available to him by email. So just approach us after the seminar. And we're gonna now go to the last session of the day, a presentation by our project partner, the Catalan Waste Agency, namely Teresa Guerrero, who's going to talk about different paid schemes in Catalonia and zoom into a couple of examples. Also, since we're a little bit ahead of schedule, there will be an opportunity at the end to make some points or ask questions about this presentation or any of the presentations, really. And lastly, I'm going to ask you for a favor, since we're streaming live and whatnot. It would be great if you could keep quiet for another 10-15 minutes, please. And I promise afterwards, the afternoon will be all about discussing. Thank you. It should work.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Good morning. So I'm trying to give you an overview of the situation of pay-as-you-throw in Catalonia, but I can go into details. You have two data sheets, no, Paolo? You are covering it with a lot of details for two of our cases, so we can share. Exactly. So thinking about this system, we think that we need some premises to put the system in logical, because we need a high landfill cost and a system that the more we recycling, the less cost we have. But it's not that situation in every country, and even it's not that situation in every part of Spain. So for this region, we have a disposal tax with a record system. I can't explain to you in detail the system, but it's very effective. And we have a tax that over the fee to put the landfill more expensive. And we recover that quantity, that amount of money, and we return this quantity to the municipalities in order their rate of recycling. So it's a good system to balance a little bit the cost, it's not the real cost that is unbalanced, is the tariff. It's unbalanced. So thinking about the pay-as-you-throw system, we realize that we can simplify in four steps. First is producer identification. Second is waste measurement. Third is payment system. And very important, the feedback system to give the information to the producer for push their change of behavior. So analyzing this step, I simplify some of our system. Here you can see the geographical situation in Spain. It's in the northeast of Spain. This is the Catalonia region. And you have already implemented the system. We have two commercial pay-as-you-throw systems, Barcelona and a municipality in the north of Barcelona, and four pay-as-you-throw systems, and one is cancelled now by political reasons. And on the other map, you have the pilots we are working on, and some of them are going to extend
from pilot to the whole region. So started, and now we have a grant that we use money from European Commission, from the Fund Regional for Development Fund, FEDER, that we have 10 million euros for implementing pilot projects in public procurement innovation in selective collection. So we are expecting that we will have fantastic pilots in innovation, because one of the requirements for that project to receive the grant is to implement a pay-as-you-throw system at the end of the project. That is about 2 years. So in 2 years, we expect a lot of innovative projects with that system included. Pay-as-you-throw with a wide understanding of the meaning, so including pay on the gate. Okay, so simplifying the system, we focus on the element that they use to measure the pay-as-you-throw system. No? And one in Argentona, Mirabet, and Rasquera, the element is the back, a prepaid back. In Mirabet and Rio Cañas, the element is the bin, selective collection bin. In Reciclos and Urgellet, the element is the container with a key yard identification, big, sorry. And in the Lagarrocha is also a container, but with identification. I'm gonna go to some details. The first one is that we have a video of this one, so I'm gonna show you the video. But the producer identification is in door-to-door, because they are collecting in a door-to-door system. They use a prepaid bag, and the more bags you use, the more you pay. The feedback system is with you go to the office, to the municipality, and they give you information. And here you can see the results from 2008 to 2018. They go from almost 50% separate collection to almost 90%. And they also have a really decrease in generation. Maybe we can put the video. It's in Catalan, but subtitle is in English. If you want some clarification, I can explain you. That is one of the details in the.
A Catalunya existeixen 4 municipis que apliquen sistemes de pagament per generació en les seves taxes de residus domiciliaris.
This is Argentona.
We'll start over.
It's the same as Mirabet and Rasquera, 3 municipalities in
A Catalunya existeixen 4 municipis que apliquen sistemes de pagament per generació en les seves taxes de residus domiciliaris, utilitzant un model de recollida porta a porta. Argentona, Mirabet, Rasquera i Vilablareix. Entre el 2018 i el 2019, el municipi de Riudecanyes també va implementar el pagament per generació. Argentona, Mirabet i Rasquera utilitzen bosses estandarditzades de prepagament per la fracció resta i els envasos lleugers. Vilablareix utilitza una variant d'aquests sistemes amb un pagament per participació que premia el nombre de lliuraments de cubells de fracció orgànica i d'envasos lleugers al servei de recollida porta a porta.
Argentona és un municipi de la província de Barcelona, amb 12.000 habitants. L'any 2010 vam implantar un pagament per generació a la zona del nucli urbà i a l'urbanització i el va estendre a la resta del municipi, a la resta de urbanitzacions, l'any 2017. Des del 2004, Argentona és un municipi porta a porta i volíem aplicar una taxa molt més justa, més equitativa i sobretot que fes una reducció de residus.
El model es basa en l'ús de bosses estandarditzades i taxades per la fracció resta de color vermell. Fins al 2012 també s'utilitzaven bosses taxades per la fracció en vasos lleugers domiciliaris, però finalment es va decidir limitar la fracció resta.
Inicialment, les mostres s'havien de comprar als serveis col·laboradors, però des de l'any 2012 es va voler facilitar la feina als veïns i es repeteixen cada any un nombre limitat de mostres en funció de la gent que viu a cada habitatge. D'aquesta manera, aquestes mostres queden incorporades a la part fixa de la taxa. Per exemple, una família de 3 o 4 membres pagarà 79 euros de taxes corrents i de dret a dos paquets de mostres de rebuig, que són 20 mostres. Si allà davant no falta més, es podrà comprar als serveis col·laboradors al preu taxat.
El preu de cada bossa domiciliària de 17 litres és de 65 cèntims la unitat. El sistema de pagament per bossa també s'aplica als comerços del municipi, que tenen una part variable de la taxa en funció del nombre de bosses de 65 litres de resta i 100 litres d'envasos que utilitzen durant l'any. Els seus preus unitaris són de 2,5 euros i 1 euro, respectivament.
Estem molt satisfets del model de recollida i implantació per generació, perquè ens ha permès millorar molt significativament els percentatges de recollida selectiva i, sobretot, disminuir molt el percentatge de rebuig i, a més, tenim una taxa molt més justa per als nostres veïns, els quals previa si paguen la pena de reciclatge correctament.
You can follow with the presentation. Okay, that's Argentona system, and you can see the results here. The other is Vila Claret. In this system, the producer identification is also door-to-door because they are using that system for service collection, but they use the pins as an element to measure the waste. And the system, the more contribution you have in packaging and value waste collection, the less you pay. And they use a really interesting app to inform the citizens about the results, why is the bill that amount and not the other, and how can they improve their behavior to pay less, etc. And the results are very interesting as well. They had in 2012 less than 40% of separate collection, and now it's almost 90%. They improved also the quality, that's quality of food waste collection, so the quality of food waste collection is very high. And they also decrease the waste production. And they don't charge residual fraction to avoid waste tourism, because they are thinking on charge residual fraction, but if you charge that, people use the other municipalities to dispose of their. So that's the system in Vila Claret. This is another system. The company that manages the packaging in Spain is Ecoembes. They are trying to implement that system that is a rewarding system in which the producer read the packaging, bottle plastic, and cans at home, reading the QR of the residue, and then go to the container and link with the mobile, identify yourself, and they know that you read your packaging of cans at home, and then they give you some reciclos, that is money to have. So the more reciclos you have, you can use you have a more reward. No? You can choose between individual rewarding or community rewarding. And the first, a lot of people choose individual rewarding, but now they're changing to a community reward, like a social project or something to the neighborhood or something like this. That's really interesting. And they use a very interesting app as well to inform the different options for user rewarding, how do you achieve more receipt. The other in Urgellet is also based on mobile and is a volunteer system you have to read the container you are using. And they have an algorithm, algorithm between the 5 fractions. So they use, you use as you use, and they have a secret algorithm that is the perfect one. If you have the perfect combination of use of residual packaging, bio waste, paper and carbon and glass, the less you pay. So they are using that kind of system. And it's very interesting because all the technology is in the mobile. So the container is only have a tag with a QR. And with the mobile, they use the same system to inform the citizens and have all the information involved in the system. And the last one is La Garrocha. You have the producer identification is by a car, using a car, and they have a system in all containers that is the already existing containers. They don't have to change containers. And they use that system to measure the quantity of separate collection and also for residual fraction. And they use identified bag as well. For time to time, they take a bag, characterize the quality of the collection, and they use that information as well to modulate the. So the payment system is the more contribution in waste fraction, the more you pay, and the more contribution in organic fraction, the less you pay. And the feedback system is by telephone and in the city council. That's as simple as a summary. It's not on the details, but it's almost that. So I try to put some pros and cons of each system, but we can maybe in the debate we can add more. In the Argentona that is based on prepaid bag, it's easy to implement. They need low technology, but they have a lot of important waste tourism because people that use it other bags, the municipality doesn't collect them, so they go to another municipality. In Villa Blaresh is high acceptance because it's voluntary. It's only as much as you recycle, as less you pay, so it's good for citizens. Minimum technology, but they don't have a prevention effect. Because it's nothing about residual. In Reciclos and Urgellet, the positive thing is that it's voluntary, but it's also negative because it's not with penalties in the case of Reciclos, low conversion rate from Viril to Angel, no? Using the Michele vocabulary. But it's positive that all the technology is in the mobile, so everyone has that technology. We don't need new technology because it's our computer in our mobile. And it's easy to communicate because in that way, using the mobile, you have all the information. In the Urgellet system, as they include the use of rest fraction lectures in the algorithm, so the bad behavior is also included in the higher level of payment. So only in the Reciclos one, they have no penalties. In Urgellet, they have penalties for bad behavior. And La Garrocha is based on containers in the car, in containers and with a car. The positive thing is that you don't have to change the containers. It's very flexible. You can apply every kind of container without any change. It's a wide action because you have all the information on the containers. You can maybe lock one or limit the use. You can make decisions about what do you want to do with that information, but you need a high level of technology. That's a little bit the similarity with Catalonia, and we will see in the following years to ensure and increase this system in Catalonia. Okay, thank you.
The rest of the presentation. Okay, so thank you all for the presentation. I think that we can make close for all the we have still a couple of minutes. Maybe if you have a particular question to address the speaker, we can take this time for your question. I don't know if you have any particular. No? Okay.
I have a question about the last example you gave about La Garozza. So you said you use the same bins, and there is a QR code sticker on the bags, and you need a card to use it. So how do you use the card? How does it work? Like, because the good thing is you use the same bins, which is fantastic, but how do you do all the rest?
They use the same bins, but they put a system to a lector, a card lector in the bins.
Okay.
So you have to go to take your card, you open the container with the card. They install the lector in the
so this has a high cost, I suppose, to install the sensors on the bins. And okay, thank you.
And how did you test the algorithm and say that it's better?
They analyze the behavior of the people, have to deliver some residual fraction, and you have to deliver packaging and food waste and use all the containers. I don't exactly know, but I think it's once a week residual. If you don't use residual, they think that you are doing something wrong, and you should use once a week. I invented it, I guess. Once a week residual and 3 times a week packaging and 3 times a week food waste.